This is Daily Armenia, ＳivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Speaking to members of the Armenian community in Istanbul on Friday, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said that Armenia must be ready for Azerbaijan to call Armenia's proposed regional transit route, the Crossroads of Peace, by a different name, the Zangezur Corridor. That term, Zangezur Corridor, is used by Azerbaijan to refer to a land route through Armenia's southern Sunik province to connect mainland Azerbaijan with its Nakhichevan exclave. At times, Baku has suggested the route should be extraterritorial, outside Armenia's control, a claim Yerevan firmly rejects. Pashinyan said, "The crossroads of peace is inevitable. It will happen, if we can read the signs. But we also have to accept that, once it opens, Azerbaijan will say, look, the Zangezur Corridor is open. We need to be ready for that." He emphasized that the project would remain fully under Armenian sovereignty, with no loss of territory. However, he did not clarify what kind of simplified transit Armenia might allow for Azerbaijan, or whether Baku would agree to give Armenia the same right in return. Pashinyan also met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, a day after Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev did the same. Pashinyan wrote on social media that they discussed the Armenia-Turkey normalization process, regional developments, and the importance of sustained dialogue. Yesterday, the Mother See of Holy Etchmiadzin celebrated its feast day as hundreds marched from Zvatnot's Cathedral to Etchmiadzin in support of Catholicos Karapetan II and the Church. The march was instituted by Mayor of Masis David Hampartsumyan, a member of the former ruling Republican Party, who has been proposed as a candidate for Prime Minister amid calls to remove Pashinyan from office. Many of the marchers carried portraits of businessman Zangezur Corridor, who was arrested the previous Thursday after publicly backing the church and stating, "If politicians fail, we will intervene in our own way." Karapetan has been charged with making public calls to overthrow the government. In his sermon, Karekin II condemned the arrest and broader anti-church rhetoric from the government, calling it a threat to national unity and stability. He described the prosecution of Karapetan as illegal and vowed the church would continue defending national interests and unity. Pashinyan responded on Facebook, accusing the Catholicos, who he referred to by his secular name, of breaking his vow of celibacy and having a child, which he says disqualifies Karekin to lead the church based on canon law. The church has been publicly critical of Pashinyan since at least 2020, when it called for him to resign after losing the 44-day war. The feud intensified last month after Karekin attended a conference in Switzerland to advocate for the rights of displaced Artsakh Armenians, an issue no longer represented in Armenia's official foreign policy. This weekend, while Pashinyan made social media posts about the Catholicos' alleged violation of celibacy, his government remained silent on far more explosive news: the United States striking nuclear facilities in neighboring Iran. In response, Iran warned that no U.S. military personnel or civilians in the region are safe. The Iranian parliament also backed the possible closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway for global trade, especially oil. Many observers now fear the situation could escalate into a full-scale war, with U.S. President Donald Trump even hinting at the possibility of regime change in Iran. Here in Armenia, concerns are rising that Azerbaijan could exploit the crisis to push for a corridor through Armenia's Sunik region. Until now, it was Iran that strongly opposed such a move. Turkey, Armenia's western neighbor, responded with caution, avoiding direct criticism of the U.S. strike, but warning that it could lead to a global conflict. Azerbaijan issued a brief statement as well, urging all sides to avoid escalation and return to diplomacy. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called the U.S. strikes a serious breach of international law. He accused both the United States and Israel of deliberately trying to destroy any path toward diplomacy. A steady but orderly flow of people continues to cross from Iran into Armenia, with fears it could become a refugee crisis if the situation in Iran worsens. The number of Iranians on the streets of Yerevan has visibly increased. Check out our interview with Eleanor Monbiot, Regional Director for the Middle East and Eastern Europe at World Vision. She highlights World Vision's decades of work in Armenia with vulnerable children and families in fragile contexts, including recent support for over 16,000 displaced people from Nagorno-Karabakh. Monbiot emphasizes the importance of systemic change, social inclusion, and close collaboration with local institutions to ensure sustainable impact. We've linked the broadcast for you in this video's description. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 4,439. That's the number of foreign citizens who were granted permanent resident status in Armenia last year. According to Armstat, the country's statistical agency, 60% of those are from Russia, the majority due to having Armenian ethnicity. Georgia is a distant second with 279 people, almost all of them due to being Armenian. Third place Iran's permits were mostly granted for business activities rather than Armenian heritage. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.